Friends, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do a Q&A in honor of reaching 200 subscribers here on my YouTube channel. First of all, thank you so much to anyone that has subscribed or watches my videos. I appreciate it. And before we get into it, I usually go to my Instagram for all of these questions and stuff like that. So if you ever want to be part of my videos, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. But the first question that I got was, why did you start this channel? So without getting too emotional or anything like that, have never really been someone that had friends. I moved around a lot when I was a kid. I was always the new kid. I went to a lot of different schools growing up. And then when I got out of high school, I was in a lot of toxic friendships that didn't last. And then over time, I just lost everybody that I was friends with. And I rediscovered my love for reading. I've talked about this a couple times on my channel. There was a time after high school where I just wasn't reading, and then I got back into reading and I discovered BookTube, and I felt like I could find a community of people, and I wanted to do that through talking about the books that I was reading. And so I started my YouTube channel, and that's kind of where it started from there. Is I have always been a very lonely person. And I don't always know the best way to make friends. I have a lot of my own issues with myself and things like that keep me from putting myself out there. And so I felt like I would be able to build a community and have some friends if I started this, or that was the hope. And yeah, that's where we are now. I would love to just get involved in the community. I know I've been doing this for over a year, and I'm, it's a learning curve. It's a learning process, and I feel like I'm finally comfortable with where I am, with the people that I interact with the people that I follow me, that I would consider acquaintances or friends. I feel like I'm finally comfortable, and now I just need to get myself to a point where I can reach out and participate more in the community, because that's my biggest issue, is that I don't really do that. It's hard for me to put myself out there, but at the core, that was it, is I just wanted friends. I just wanted people to talk to, whether that was about books or whether it was about life. I just wanted people. They said, congratulations on 200, thank you. When did I get into reading? So when I was a kid, I had a lot of issues in school. Like I said, we moved around a lot. And I think that really translated into how that affected my learning abilities. So I was really struggling to comprehend, to read and do math. And I was going to be put into I don't know exactly what they're called, but classes that are for people that are falling behind. I don't know the exact terms for it, but and so I got enrolled into a learning facility. My parents enrolled me in the learning facility when I was in 3rd grade. And one of the things that the learning facility recommended was that every night I read a book with one of my parents. And my mom has always been a reader. She's always been a romance reader. For as long as I remember, she's always had romance books in the house. But she would sit down with me every night and she would read kids' books with me that were obviously appropriate for my age. And we would read a chapter or two a night, and that's kind of where it started. And then as my home life got a little harder and some things started happening, the reading was always a big constant for me. I always saw my mom reading, and so that's kind of where it all started. Reading has always been very soothing for me because, like I said, I didn't really have a lot of friends. I was really bullied a lot. And so reading was always a really big escape. What books/series got you into reading? So I remember reading as a kid, the Judy Blume books. I remember reading that one dystopian book with the light bulb on the cover. I read a lot of kids fantasy books, but the first series that I distinctly remember making a big impact on me was the Twilight series. I was in middle school when the books got really popular and they were being made into movies. And I really just remember the friends that the series brought me. I found a core group of friends that we talked about the books, we watched the movies, we constantly were, enjoying the series, and that really, really brought us close together. And that was those were the first friends that I had. And so that left a really, really big impact on me, to the point where I don't necessarily even know if my reading would be the same without that series and like what it did for my life. Not to negate any of the issues, and I don't recommend it. I don't do anything like that, but it's important to recognize what it did for me and also what it did for a lot of readers. So that was the book series that I distinctly remember as cementing that books were really important to me and my future. Do you have a drink or snack while reading, and what are they? I am very weird about drinks. I will only drink when I'm thirsty, and then I'll forget about it. So like right here, I have a cup of coffee, and I always drink coffee every morning. But after my initial thirst is quenched, I will completely forget I have that coffee, and like I'll have to reheat my coffee like 5, 6, 7 times before I actually finish the cup of coffee. And same with cold drinks. I'll have a cold drink, and once I'm no longer thirsty, I'll leave it to sit there until I'm thirsty again, if that makes sense. Like some people sip on drinks and all that. I'll leave it there for hours until my body's like, hey, you need to drink something. And then I'll, go back and think about it. And then snacks. I'm not really a big snack person. I'm not really eating unless I am eating a meal, in which case I will read while I'm eating a meal. Favorite books of all time. So I've been very open on my channel about the Shadowhunter universe. So the Infernal Devices, the Immortal Instruments, the Dark Artifices, and now the Last Hours, all by Cassandra Clare. They were a very influential series to me. I found them after I had read Twilight and all that kind of stuff. I think I found it right around the time that I think the third one had just come out. Loved them. Like, I reread them every year. Like, they're a fantastic series for me, and a lot of it is nostalgia. I read it with my mom. I distinctly remember on my 18th birthday, my mom got Cassandra Clare to email me and wish me a happy birthday. Like, the series was very, very influential in my life, and it kept me reading. And so I think that by default, that would kind of have to be my favorite series, just because, again, I don't know what I would be without that series. When I think about books that have made a lasting impact on me, The Book Thief, that book, like, I've reread that book several times, and I'm not particularly interested in historical fiction, but something about that book was so heart-wrenching and written so well and so interestingly to me that I just loved it. And then I have several books that I have picked up since I started my reading journey again. I have absolutely changed my reading or the way I view the world, or just like the way that I think. Something that's coming to mind is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I don't know what it was about that book that just like, it blew me away. Like, it was so stunning to me. Okay, there's that. And then I recall some books in high school that I was in my senior year, and I've never done particularly well in school. Like, I've always been told by other people that I'm smart, but I've never felt like I was. And I have a lot of like imposter syndrome around education and things like that. I was in AP literature. That was a very hard class for me. And like, I felt very dumb the entire time. I felt like I didn't understand anything that anybody was talking about every time I had to write an essay, which was literally every single day. It was a very painful part of my senior year, but I felt like I shouldn't have been there, like I didn't deserve to be there. And I remember we read Tessa the D'Urbervilles. I don't even remember if I'm pronouncing that right. That's how my English teacher pronounced it. And I remember loving that book and really understanding that book. Like, that was one of the only books my senior year where I felt like that, and Crime and Punishment. Those two books were books that I felt like I really understood, and like every conversation that we had, I felt like I could participate in, and it made me feel like I should be there, like I deserved to be there, that I was smart enough to be there. So I think those were two books that were very influential on the way that I view myself and how I view reading in relation to myself and my self-esteem. And to this day, like, they're two of my all-time favorite books. And I think they're great books, but I think just the way that they made me feel about myself in that time and space was what made them so good, to me. I definitely have some romance books that I've read this year that just, like, quite honestly changed my life. It changed my sex life, it changed my relationship with my partner, things like that. So yeah. What is my favorite book to movie adaptation? I would probably have to say 2005 Pride and Prejudice. I know that's like a pretty common answer, but I love that movie. It's freaking great. I haven't never read the book, so I don't know. I know it's not like, it's not really accurate to the book, but I really, really love that movie. I think it's fantastic. So that's gonna be my answer. I've had several people asking me what my other hobbies are outside of reading, and mostly just playing video games. I had someone ask me what my favorite video game right now is, and it's Dead by Daylight. It's a survival like horror game, and Sims, which you probably know what Sims is about. But those are the two games that I like consistently play. I would say Sims is more of like a game that I play like to relax myself, and then DBD is more of like a fun game that I enjoy. Tall I am 5'6", and that is like average, I guess, nothing special. And then Izzy asked, tell me why I'm better than Tamika. An author I want to try but haven't yet. There's a lot. I just like every author just went right out of my head. Let me pull up my to read shelf on Goodreads. There's a lot of historical romance authors that I want to read. With historical romance, like I feel like it's one of those genres that's very intimidating to get into, which is weird to say because I read dark romance and a lot of people find that intimidating. But weirdly enough, I find historical romance more intimidating than dark romance. Pam Godwin, she is kind of intimidating to me. She writes pretty dark stuff. I would really like to read Dark Notes. I've heard great things about that. I'm just very iffy because I know the heroine is 17, and you know, I would also like to get into Teal Swan. I've heard fantastic things about their books. And then of course some like Elizabeth Hoyt and Beverly Jenkins, who I've started but I want to read her backlog. Joanna Lindsay, Stephanie Lawrence, authors like that. And I think historical romance is the one that I know the least about, watch the most videos and still know the least about, and am most intimidated by. Because you can pretty much give me any romance, like you could give me like really any dark romance and I'll read it, but historical romance, it's very intimidating to me. And then compare to other reading years how this one is in quality and quantity. Quantity, I have read a lot less than I read last year, but I have read more than I read previous years besides last year, if that makes sense. I really only started reading heavy in 2020. Quality-wise, I've read a lot of really good reads. I think I am really pinpointing what as an adult I want to read, what I want to read in my romances, what fantasies I want to read, and I'm steering out of reading books that I know are going to be lowly rated or not worth my time. So I think my quality overall has gotten better. And I think I've read a lot of good books this year. My average this year I think is close to 4. So my average rating this year has been close to 4. But I'm either reading a really fantastic book or like an incredibly bad mediocre book. There's like really no in between. And then what is your current non-bookish obsession? This is gonna sound weird, but tracking. I've gotten really into tracking, like making Excel documents, keeping track of things. I think as I feel less in control of like my life or my feelings and things like that, tracking just like really helps me a lot. I've gotten away from bullet journaling, which is unfortunate because I was really loving bullet journaling, but it's not really helpful for me because past that initial setting up of the month, I don't use it because there's nothing really in my daily life. Like I don't need to schedule my daily life like that because I don't really have a lot going on. So, and I don't like super plan my videos ahead of time, so it's not really something that I need. So I just didn't really find them very useful. The only thing that I use it to track is my period, but that's pretty much it. What non-book releases are you looking forward to, like movies and video games? I am very much looking forward to seeing Candyman. When I was a kid, that movie terrified me, and I'm really excited to watch the new one. And video game releases, I'm very excited for New World. I am excited for Ashes of Creation, which I know isn't coming out anytime soon. I think that's really it. I am looking forward to like DVD's newest DLCs, but I don't know like how they're gonna be for the overall game. Fictional crush. Rush from Rush by Brianna Hale, Dom from Love Her or Lose Her, Leon from Her Soul to Take. Halloween plans / costume ideas. I don't actually have any Halloween plans. I will decorate my house, but I don't really like go to Halloween parties or anything like that. Obviously not right now. Want to do something with like Kingdom Hearts. So like Kairi. These are also like my cosplay ideas. So like Kairi from Kingdom Hearts, or Tifa from Final Fantasy. I could do, that's all I can think of right now, but I think those would be really cool. If you could live in any fictional world, which would it be? I guess that depends. If I live in that fictional world and it's a fantasy world, do I have the powers of the people in the fantasy world, or am I just a normal human? Because if I'm just a normal human, I would want to live in my world. No, still wouldn't want to live in my world. If I was a normal human, I would want to live in whatever world Rush is in. So like that world, which is like normal, but not this world, if that makes sense. And then if I were to be able to have their powers, I think I would want to live in Tova from Black Sun. Just because their magic system seems very interesting and I would love to explore that more and see what all they can do. What is your zodiac sign, and which sign do you get along with the most or hate the most? I'm not a huge astrology person. I know that I'm a Virgo, and my personality like perfectly fits with a Virgo, and I don't know what sign I would not get along with. The personality that I don't get along with is like very rude and abrasive, very arrogant. I think that's pretty common for like everybody. So anybody that just like you would consider a dick is probably not someone I would get along with, but I don't know what sign. I think my partner is I think he's a Leo, Aries, which I don't know anything about. The fire sign. A passionate, motivated, and confident leader who builds community with their cheerful disposition and relentless determination. Uncomplicated and direct in their approach, they often get frustrated by exhaustive details and unnecessary nuances. That's definitely my partner. That's my partner to a T. So I guess I would get along with an Aries. I don't know what else. Like, I get along really well with like soft people, like soft personalities, but I don't really like loud and abrasive people, which is funny because that's kind of who my partner is, but there's something just different about him. But yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question. So I'm just going to say I don't know. And those are all of the questions that I am going to answer. If you would like a part 2, let me know down in the comments below and drop me some questions down there and I would love to answer them. Other than that, thanks so much for 200 subscribers and I will see you in my next one. Thanks so much.